I'm going to give you basically a model of marketing that is geared towards you that I know works because it's been working for my club team to the point where D1 interest, D2 offers. One of the girls is actually going to sign a D2 scholarship on Tuesday, and the other ones are coming too. They're just younger, and it's coming. It works. And every single one of these girls that were on my team this summer, I'm trying to think, I won't quote myself wrong. At the most, there was maybe 1 or 2 girls that had some kind of college interest before this summer, okay? And after this summer now, we've got multiple girls with D2 offers. Like I said, someone signing next week. We have girls getting D1 interest, D3 interest, and some of that's just the level of the player they are. You see what I'm saying? So don't really base it on, well, his marketing was only D3. No, that's the level of that girl. Does that make sense? But these girls were all off the radar. Nobody knew about them. And now all of a sudden, this is happening, and I guarantee within the next 8 to 9 months, it's going to go up even more. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to give you this plan, and it's going to give you the best shot. It doesn't guarantee anything, okay? These girls also do have the ability to play, which I've been watching you, and I think all of you have the potential. There's no question. You have the potential, right? And my girls have the potential too. And they work their tails off. They are in this gym more than you would ever realize it. And Leah knows, and Mariah knows, Red and Reese, because they see them all the time, the Stephs and the Josies and the Abbies. These girls are committed to not only promoting themselves and getting in front, but making, I'm sorry, Maddie too, Maddie works with Abby, is getting themselves in position so that when they are seen by these coaches, they show themselves to be capable. Does that make sense? Because, you know, you think about it, if Nike promotes this awesome shoe that makes you jump 5 inches higher, and they've never promised that they'd be sued and broke, but, you know, and this shoe that can increase your 40 by 8 seconds, they better produce, right? That shoe better do that. Otherwise, A, nobody's ever going to buy from Nike again. B, they're going to be sued, right? Okay, now the good thing is if you lie about how good you are, you won't be sued, but the college coaches will stop paying attention. And that's important. They got to keep paying attention to you, and they got to keep paying attention to you over and over and over again. Let's talk problem, and then let's talk solution, okay? So here's the 2 problems, visibility and credibility, okay? This is the stuff I want you to write, and stay bullet point, stay mind map, don't go deep, okay? Visibility and credibility. By visibility, I mean they don't know about you, okay? And even if you are going to exposure tournaments with your club team and they are not sitting on your sideline, they don't know about you. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes parents and players make is they go with this team and the team says, well, we're a college exposure team. We go to Frisco and we go to Houston, and there's not one single college coach watching you. If a college coach is at a tournament, they have a list of everybody they know they want to watch. Your only luck of getting seen by a college coach at a college tournament, if they don't already know about you, is they're sitting on the court next to you. Like, who's been to Frisco, to the field house? Right? And there's all those courts right next, and you're over there just mopping the competition. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay? The second side of that is if your teams, now granted, I know some of you are younger, but there's divisions within each age group. If your teams are not playing against other college prospect kids, you're not helping yourself as far as visibility. Does that make sense? I'm going to give you a good example. My team. I told you they weren't, I knew we were going to be good in March. I didn't realize how good we were going to be, right? So I said, well, we'll kind of take this, we'll take an aggressive path on our schedule, but we're not going to jump out there and go play the DFW top elites and this and this and this and this school, right? I wish we had. I wish we had, because we got this many D2 and D1 offers from the kids we did play, and we could have played up one more level. I don't know. Some of my kids might be getting D1 offers right now that weren't because we didn't play that level. And although we had college coaches at ours, but then there ended up being a whole bunch of college coaches there. You're on Team Express. That's the first thing to know, that visibility. Does that make sense? Now, they better know you before that point even gets to happen. They better know who you are, who you play for, what your schedules are, what your game film looks like before that, because it's a credibility issue. You got to think about it like this, ladies, okay? There is, and I'm making a number, but it's a huge number, 4,000 kids over here saying, I'm good enough to play in college, and they're not. But they're still emailing and telling the coaches, so the coaches got to decide, do I open this email? Do I watch this film? There's only so many hours in a day, and they still have to do the coaching stuff too. They don't just recruit for a living. They X's and O's and plan the team and practices and games and travel. They're doing all that. And then there's another 4,000 or 5,000 over here saying, I'm good enough, and they are. So they have to start by just separating that. And then they got to get within that group that can, and they got to say, okay, well, we're a D1 school. She's a D3. I'm hypothetical. That's a D3 kid. Nope, throw her out. D2 kid. Nope, throw her out. Possible D1 kid, and she's 6 foot. Okay, we'll look at her. And he sends all the troops and the soldiers out there, right? And you got to think about this. College coaching is cutthroat. A college coach can lose his job sometimes in the middle of the season if they're doing a bad enough job. Or just something bad happens, okay? And they'll look. The people who hire and fire, they'll look at the kids they're bringing in. Because they might live with you like losing or not having good years, 1 or 2. But then they're going to say, well, what kind of kids are they bringing in? And if they don't think you're bringing in that they're bringing the right kind of kids, they're going to turn the program around, they get you out of there. College coaching is just about as much recruiting as it is playing, because the NCAA restricts how much time they can spend working on skill development. They can't just do skill development with their coach whenever they want like you do in high school. The NCAA has a rule on how many hours they can work with their coach outside of team practice. And you all know team practice is not the time for skill development, right? X's and O's, press break, offense, all that. Initially show potential, and then your job is this, to build a relationship, okay? So step 1 is potential. Step 2 is build the relationship, and I'll teach you how in a second. I'm just going to put an R, make it easy, okay? So that you build your credibility. How you build a relationship? You tell your story. You tell your story, and I want you to think of it in that realm, and I'll explain in a minute. Do anything with it unless you have film, okay? So that's number 1. That's where we're showing potential. That starts with the emails, okay? That starts with the emails. Tommy talked a little bit about it. I'll tell you what I like. I'll tell you what I like. That list that he talked about, that college promoters have, I have that as well. So my players have it, my players on my club team. And so I write an email, and the kids write an email. The player writes an email. And if they have no attention, they don't know where they're going yet, then we send it to the whole list. We send it to the whole list. Because the way email marketing works, it's email marketing basically. You got to understand something. When you do email marketing, it works on percentages. So when I send that email to 500 coaches, there's a percentage that's going to open and a percentage that's not. However, it may be a situation where they don't open mine, but they open the players. Who cares? We just need them to open the email. We need to make an introduction, and they need to look at the film. That's step 1. Does everybody agree with me? Because if not, you don't have this, do you? Okay? And then you can't start to build this. So that's number 1. So when, so here's the thing. Like I had some of my players do this. They got on Huddle. Huddle's awesome. If your team uses Huddle, that should be your number 1 resource. It kills me how many players their team has Huddle and they don't even use it. A, to watch film and get better. B, you can chop up your own highlight film, get a link for it, upload it to YouTube, email it to coaches, put it on social media. You can put it in front of 50,000 people in 2 days. So if you have Huddle, start using it, start chopping your film. But you got to bring your A game on the first film, right? Is Nike going to go promote hard? If Nike's a new company, they got 2 shoes. They got the LeBron James shoes, and they got the, y'all been to Nike Outlet Mall before, right? And you've been on them shelves, and you're like, I know why these are at the Outlet Mall and not at Foot Locker, right? Well, which ones are they going to put in front of the kids that want to buy them? The LeBrons, right? You got to make sure your game film is LeBron. Don't just clip anything. Does that make sense? And then what you need to clip, you need to show yourself scoring, Okay, you need to show yourself getting some buckets. However you get buckets. If you can't shoot the three, that's fine. Show how you get buckets. Show yourself playing defense. Because at the college level, almost everybody can score. But who can stop the people that can score? And if you can't stop somebody, you can't play in college. Does that make sense? Show hustle plays. Show rebounds. Show assists. Show yourself working within the system. If you're a point guard and you guys run pick and roll, show yourself understanding the reads off pick and roll. This game is so much pick and roll these days, and especially the college level. If you can show yourself as a pick, all my players, even not just my point guards, know pick and roll. They know pick and roll. So when we present my players to these coaches, wow, she knows pick and roll, she knows down screens, she knows flare screens, post feeds, okay? So that's what you want to show. That's your initial email, okay? Here's the first thing I would do. The ones who don't open that email or don't respond to you, within a week or two, I'm sending another email. Hey, coach, I know you're busy. I know you get tons of emails. And I'd say it just like this and put this. So let's do this. Let's do the timeline. So email 1. I'm going to go E1. Intro with film. Okay? Now, there's 2 email 2s. Okay? One for the unopens is the follow-up. Coach, did you get my email? Not trying to be pushy. I know you're busy. I just, I'm really interested in your school. Oh, on email number 1, you're interested in their school. Whether you know about that, you are interested in that school. They don't want kids that just want to find somewhere to play ball. They need kids that are interested in the school. They need college. They need student athletes. Is everybody with me on that? So that language in that first email is, I'm interested in your school. I'm playing for your program. If you can sprinkle some knowledge that you went and did some research, that's good too. You may be sending this a little more mass where it's hard to do. Follow up with those who unopened. Coach, I just want to send my film again. They still might not open it, but you might get some. I've done that before. Hey, coach, I don't know if you saw our highlights from Frisco, but I just want to send them to you one more time. I know you're busy. 2 or 3 more come. And now I'm building relationships with them. Does that make sense? For the ones that respond, give them what they want. Like I said, here's a questionnaire. I need you to fill this out. Okay, good. Hey, that's good. Do you have any film of you doing this? Okay, good. Can you send me your game schedule? What's the next tournament? These are the responses you're going to get from them. And answer the questions. Okay? Now, guess what they just did? They just opened their door to you to communicate to them whatever you want. You got to be a little pushy. Don't overdo it, but you got to be a little pushy. Don't forget, they've got 8,000. You're in a crowd of 8,000. So you can very easily poke out and go right back in, like that mole game at the arcade. I'm telling you, if you're not staying out of sight, out of mind. Remember that. Out of sight, out of mind. We've done the introduction. Now we're going to build relationships. Okay? Here's what you need to do. The emails that follow, don't email every day. Probably don't even email every week. If they start responding and saying stuff to you, I would probably go about every other week. Depending on if you have something to talk about. If you don't have anything to talk about, then don't just talk to talk. Do you understand what I'm saying? But here's the things you can email them about. Let's say you went to one of these exposure camps, something like Premier or John Lucas, or something where they actually assess you and they write a report about you. Okay? Now, I'll be honest, don't go running to all these camps, because there's a lot of them out there that I personally feel are just taking your money. Okay? But if you can get the ones with good credibility, I know John Lucas has great credibility down here. Premier has great credibility down here. Can't think of any others at the top of my head. Can you think of any? So, yeah, those are the big, especially for Texas, okay? And if they give you a good report, hey, I've seen some that are like, hey, kid has D2 potential, can shoot the ball well, attacks well. You take that and you go send it to the coach, okay? You play in another tournament, you do well. If you do well, don't send them garbage, okay? But if you do well, hey, coach, I'm excited to show this to you. We were out in Frisco. I played really well. I had 18 points in this game here. Sometimes I send highlights. College coaches know who they are going to see before they step in a tournament. there's how many teams and how many players. Sometimes there's 2 tournaments in the same city. There's, you know, especially these days, everybody's trying to have an exposure event these days because they can charge stupid amount of money and you'll come because you have to come because that's how you get seen. Does that make sense? There's good tournaments out there. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but everybody's popping up trying to get a piece of this pie is what I'm trying to get at. Does that make sense? So coaches have to be very smart and know where they're going to go and who they're going to see because you guys been to the field house? There's what, 16 games every hour for 18 hours in a weekend? They got to know who they're going to see right away. Have the schedule. Here's a little trick I do sometimes as far as from a coaching standpoint. I'll email them on a Monday. Schedules you don't come out till like Wednesday, Thursdays, right? I'll email them on Monday, Coach, we're heading to Frisco. Just want to let you know I'm going to send you the schedule when we get it. They usually don't respond. Some do, some don't. And then when I get the schedule, Coach, here's the schedule I promised you. I hope you can make it. Here's a couple players. Okay? Oh, one thing I think a lot of players make a mistake of. If you're going back and forth with this coach, don't keep sending them the same film. They don't want to see you over and over again with the same film. But if you can show them progression, if you can tell the story that's happening of you evolving into a college player, they do want to see that. Is everybody with me on that? Okay. It's a visual story. A lot of music, besides some of the garbage that's out there today, but a lot of music tells a story. Like if you listen to country music, right? My dog died and my wife left me. And, I'm joking, but it tells stories, right? We as humans are attracted to stories. Would you rather I go out here and just spit facts at you or tell you a story? Or listen to a story, right? Okay? Or think about how I teach a lot. And a lot of your other teachers and coaches probably do the same thing. I'll be down there with you guys or ladies, and I could say, hey, the way you do it is you clip the calf, you go by, create separation. But she might be like, okay, cool, I got you. But if I said, hey, when I worked with George Hill, he showed me how to do this. Now she's like, well, George Hill does it, it works. And you're listening more because I put George Hill in the story, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So, I mean, some emails just need to be, hey, here's the schedule. But you gotta learn to write story emails, okay? I'm not saying, once upon a time, I was in Frisco. But look, phrase your words, phrase your sentences so it shows the progression, right? The initial part of your story, chapter 1, is that, Coach, I'm interested in playing for you. I'm interested in being at your school. So everything after that follows that story. Coach, I went to Frisco. Did you get to see us play? I don't know. We were really busy. I didn't notice who showed up or not. We had a lot of college coaches there. Does that make sense? Okay? Tell the story. Tell the story. And then here's another one I'm going to give you. This is kind of under the table. Use it in the best way possible. Sometimes it's better for your coaches to use it than you. And if you use it wrong, it can burn you, so be careful. It's a race to get these players from the coach's standpoint. Pit them against each other. When you went to Frisco, man, Coach, did you get to see our games? I know I sent you the schedule. By the way, here's some film. I don't know if you got to see the game or not. There were so many college coaches there. Now, don't lie. If you had no college coaches, don't tell me you had 20 there. But if you had a couple, say that. Say that. I've used that. That's worked. After Frisco, this last one is it August or September? I lose track of months. That last period, is it September? September. I wrote an email. I said, Coach, we had a lot of college coaches at that tournament for us. I said, Coach, I don't know. I was so busy with the games. I don't know if you showed up or not. You know, I know I'd sent you a schedule. I just want to send you a rundown of what happened. By the way, So they're looking at what happened in the players, but do you think they're not in their mind like, oh, okay. What is that? Because what does that do? Think about it. If LeBron James wears Nikes, what's that tell you about Nikes? If Michael Jordan eats Wheaties, what do you want to eat? You're allowing someone else, listen, you got to catch this. You're allowing someone else to build credibility for you. Media. Now look, this is not your bread and butter. This is not your number one thing. But you got to understand a couple things with social media. Okay? Number one, you can tell the story. You can tell your story more instead of bombarding them with emails. I can tell you, I can promise you, coaches will go look at your social media. Get back there. You're being a distraction. Get out of here. They will look, because here's the thing. They're going to spend the next 4 years, sometimes 5 years with you. They don't want problem people. They don't want gossipers. They don't want drama queens. They don't want lazy people. Do you understand? So they really don't have any way to build a relationship with you besides maybe if you come to their camp. So they got to do the research. Again, they got to present, right? Because if that assistant coach says, man, this girl can play and doesn't do anything about their character, and then, the head coach says, well, man, she can play. Let's go check her out. And then she has the worst attitude in the world. She doesn't, but if she did, now the head coach is going to be like, why'd you bring this nonsense to me? Do you understand what I'm saying? So they got to check your character, how else to do it, but especially with the young ones. Because you guys don't realize what you put out there sometimes. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, I love Billy. And you have these pictures, BFFs, and what is it, MCN59, whatever the thing is, right? The hashtag. And that's okay. It shows you being a kid. But let's do this. Let's flip social media, Facebook, and Instagram. Let's flip it from being a toy, and let's make it a tool. My wife hates that I rarely put much of our family on there. Number one, I believe in privacy for our family. Number two, I'm not using that to show, hey, everybody, look at my family, we're so great. I'm not using it for that. I'm using it because I need to go talk to people, and I can reach them that way. When I was going to college, think about this now. I'm 33 years old. So it's 15 years ago. That's not a long time ago, right? When I was trying to get into college, you know what you had to do? You had to film games on a camera 10 times the size of that. It was on a VHS tape, which half of you probably don't know what that is. Okay? Then you had to go and get a mailing address from a coach and call them on their office phone because they didn't have a cell phone and hope they were in the office, which most college coaches weren't, because I've talked to college coaches that were recruiting back then and they said it was just chaos because of everything they had to do, watching VHSs and faxing things and doing this and hope they watched your VHS. And you had to mail it, postal service, for about what, 15 bucks? You had to spend $15 just to try to get visibility. Y'all can go on social media and reach 40,000 for free in 2 days. You've got the best tool in the world. Do you understand that? Now let's quickly talk about what you need to put on social media. I told you film, right? Film games. So, okay, so you got A material and B material. You email your A material to the coach and let them see that. Your B material, you can still chop that up and put it on Facebook. Hey, look, I played in Frisco. Don't show yourself doing bad, but just the games where you're not dropping 20 or doing your great stuff. Does that make sense? Put it up there. Put it up there, okay? And then, people don't believe me in this. People do not believe me in this. Look, Jody Conrad is considered one of the most famous and best coaches to ever coach women's basketball. She coached at UT, won national championships, right? I was at a coach's clinic at UT. This was 3 years ago. She wasn't the coach at that point, but they brought her in to speak to us coaches. And they said, Coach, what's one of the things that you think that, what's one of those things that college coaches are looking at that that maybe us coaches that are coaching youth don't realize or players don't realize? She said, I want to know how they work out. She said, I want to know the intensity they go at. I want to know how disciplined they are when they work out, how much they pay attention to detail, how much they push through fatigue. Coaches are interested in how you work. Now, that's not the first thing you send to them, but they want to know how you work out. Or let's think about this. They saw her game film. She emailed them. Man, she dropped 20 against SA Finest. Wow, we got to look into this kid. Let's find out more. Let's go on her Facebook. Let's see what's going on. And she's got a post of about every other day of her working out high. Now, I'm not talking about those in the driveway or in the garage, handle life, stationaries. Like, no coach wants to see that. If you can't stationary dribble at this level, like, you're not playing in college, all right? You understand what I'm saying? But real workouts. You guys have the best tool in the stinking world, your phone. Just record your workout. Or I got this for training. I film a lot of our players' workouts. Maddie, I think we've done it. Reese, we've done it. Brad, we've done it. Leah, right? This cost me 40 bucks on Groupon. Now, I think this isn't as good for you, but my point is, your access to getting film and showing yourself being a player that's worthy is so much easier these days than it has ever been in your life. You just have to be resourceful. I know on my phone, I can film, and on the same app, I can cut and edit. Because you're not going to post your workout where you missed 6 shots working or something, right? You're still going to chop it up, make it look good, right? Right? Okay? But my point is, you have the app built into your phone. You don't even have to download the app. So if you're not filming, cutting film, and then uploading it to Facebook, which only takes 2 seconds, you're lazy. You're not trying hard enough. Do you see what I'm saying? Film workouts. I mean, imagine that. If maybe, you know, Jody Conrad doesn't coach anymore, but Jody Conrad is the one that said, we got to check into this girl. She can play. And Jody Conrad's a believer in workouts. And she's got to post every other day of her working out, and she shows that she can do stuff in the workout, right? Because the potential again. I've had college coaches say, well, I don't see this in her game. Say, okay, coach, well, look at her workouts. It's getting there. She can do it in the workouts. We're just not at game point yet. I'm showing the potential, the progression, what's going to happen, and then I can come back and talk about it when it does happen. Do you see what I'm saying? You got to be smart in what you're telling the story, right? Tell the story. Show yourself talking about basketball. I love my team. And I mean, don't fake it. If you don't love your team, first of all, something's wrong. But two, if you know, don't try to fake it, but tell the truth. I don't Photoshop a picture of me and LeBron, because there's no real picture of me and LeBron. But I'll post a picture of me and Danny or me and George, because those are real. Me and D-Rob, because those are real. So you got to tell the truth, but you have to start telling the story. You with me on that? Okay? So that's the huge things. Those are the most important things. You gotta solve these problems, visibility and credibility, and you do that through building the relationship by first your introduction on the email and the film, and then tell your story through email, social media. Now look, like I said, don't go out here and think you're gonna win the game with social media. You need to do the emails first, but then you back it up with that, okay? If they went and got a new job today, they put in the application first with their resume, which is their game film. You know, I've been in sales for 20 years and I helped whatever, right? Don't think their employers aren't going back to their Facebooks and Twitter too. They want to see what kind of pictures they post up. How do they live? Because they got to work with those people. They got to spend 40 to 60 to 80 hours a week with them. They want to make sure those are the right kind of people for their company. Okay? So you're learning something that's going to help you get into college. You're learning something that you're going to have to deal with, and it may be even more by the time you're adults. The level of which people can get access to your life and inside of what's in your world has increased at a scale of probably 3,000 in the last 5 years. With smartphones and Snapchat, and now there's an app called Periscope where someone can get on there live and you can watch them live. Like and I can guarantee you it's not slowing down. The scale will probably be bigger. Actually, I know it is because I listen and study for some guys who study business and where the world's going in the scale of things. Do you know we can 3D print things? 3D print things. So what do you think they're going to think of in the next 5 years? Do you see what I'm saying? Start building your resume and what you're looking to do now. And keep your eye on the tools, not the toys. And they can be the same thing, it's just how you play with it or how you use it. What tools can get you exposure? Does that make sense? Let me just make last but not least, you got to get to that point as a player. If you're not, I don't care how much of this you do, if you can't get yourself to that point as a player, they're still not going to take you. You understand that? So don't act like you just do this and you can sit on your butt and not work. You got to work your tails off and become a college level player. Okay, I told you, Josie's a great example. I was doing all this stuff for Josie in March and April and all that, and nothing was really coming because she hadn't got herself to that point. She worked her tail off all summer, was in the gym multiple days a week, was getting in the grind, had a good team to play with, a team that was getting to these college exposure events and getting in front of coaches, and now she's on the other end of the stick. The good side of it. She's got interest. She's going to get more interest. And she's going to keep getting better, so she keeps getting better offers. You guys done? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. We're coming down right now. Is everybody with me on that? Okay. And if you have any questions, I know I threw a lot at you, and I get very passionate about this. One, because I love this. I'm so happy we're getting to do this because, to me, I love helping a player get better at basketball and understand life. But if I can help you guys get into college, and that's going to really affect your life, you know, that's some of the 4 most important years of your life. That's important to me. So I'm glad we get to do this. I can talk